Welcome to Private Money Secrets. I'm Keith Yackey and I'm your host, and all we talk about here is private money, real estate, and some other fun stuff. Grab your favorite beverage. Let's dive in. Have you ever heard the statement, I must be what I can be? I must be what I can be. I heard that about 3 months ago, and it was a guy. He was a high-end coach for like people that are doing lots of money, mindset type coach. And he's like, what I've noticed about everybody who is at the top level of success in whatever game they play, they have this mentality of, I must be what I can be. I've taken that and translated it over to my one-on-one coaching community, where we have a saying where it says, we live by a higher standard. And that standard is become my best. And what I've found that when I'm daily trying to become my best, there is a lot of resistance to that within and without. I've experienced more of it within lately than I have without, because I'm surrounded by a lot of really successful people that are always rooting me on, cheering me on. My wife, my best friends, my next circle of friends, they're all cheering me on. Go get them, Keith. You got this. But I found that oftentimes in my own head, I'm wondering, can I really pull this off? Can I really do this? Can I really do this? So I want to encourage you guys this. As you decide to live by a higher standard, and that's not like a religious thing. I know there's some religious groups out there like, we live by a higher standard, God. And it's usually those people that are the biggest pieces of shit. Now, don't hear what I didn't say. I didn't say all religious people are big pieces of shit, because they're not. But typically when I've encountered somebody who says, I live by a higher standard, I'm like, well, I'm a little triggered, because those people can usually be a little judgy assholes, but not all of them. But when I'm not talking about religious higher standard, like some big grandpa on a rocking chair above. I'm talking about I live by a higher standard, meaning the standard for 97% of the people in this world, the standard for most people, the standard for everybody else, 97 out of 100 people, is a very low standard. Just get by. Their standard is survive. The top 3% are not content with surviving. They are striving for thriving. They're becoming their best. They're becoming their best. And so the only way you can become your best is to set yourself a higher standard. Another phrase that's come out of this thing we've been diving deep in my one-on-one group is this: if you want to raise your standing in life, you have to raise your standards. The problem is raising your standards is hard. You're not used to it. You're used to getting up at a certain time. You're used to being lazy. You're used to not producing content by a certain time. You're used to blah, blah, blah. There's all this stuff. So you're wanting to change, and now you're having to raise your standard, which means you have to do more. You have to do better work. You have to do more work. And inside, you might be freaking out. What the hell is going on around here? It feels like now all of Hades and his horrid henchmen are after me. Well, this is why 3% is smaller than 97%. This is why it's a hard group to be a part of. Because it's hard to raise your standards. But Peyton Welch, who happens to be a friend of mine, said something the other day. It really hit me. And he said, hard equals more rewarding. Hard equals more rewarding. Now, for you ladies, I know you're looking at each other going, the harder, the better. I sensed a few eye rolls when you guys listened to that. But the truth of the matter is the harder, the better. Meaning, the harder something is, the more rewarding, the more reward you're going to feel for accomplishing that thing. Interestingly enough, the more I've decided to go all in on me and what I'm trying to create and trying to expand, the harder it has become for me to deal with things. I've become more moody. I've become a little angrier on the inside. And it's a shift that I'm having to talk with my friends about because I'm like, man, I'm starting to become, I feel like I'm going crazy on the inside. There's doubts coming from left and right that I never experienced. There's things that I'm questioning that I've never questioned. And frankly, the harder I strive to become better, the harder it seems to become. And actually, I feel like I'm falling further behind. Have you ever felt that? But in talking with my friends who are further down the road than me, they say, Keith, that's normal. Sometimes you have these identity shifts. You've seen yourself a certain way for so long, and now you're moving into this new way that you're asking others to see you, but you have to also see yourself that way as well. As I move in to try and help people fix their relationships, whether it's getting their ex back or building a rocky relationship into a rock star relationship, deep in my heart, I go, I want to be category king. I want to destroy anybody else that's talking about that topic because I don't think they understand it as well as I do. And yet, in the midst of me saying that, there's all sorts of doubts. I share that with you because I know a lot of you guys come to me to learn about how to raise private money, how to do real estate, and that's a new thing for you. That's a new category that you want to become a king or a queen in. And so there's lots of doubts. Can I do this? I see other people doing it. How are they doing it? Am I allowed to do that? How can I do that? And all these doubts come from within. I just want you to know it's perfectly normal. You're struggling with the new identity of who you want to become, and it's normal. Oh, and by the way, you're choosing it. One of my good friends I talked to this morning, he goes, all this stress that you're creating in your life, you're choosing it. You're bringing it on. You're the one picking it. But that stress is going to make you stronger than you've ever have been before. So, time to slay the demons. Time to slay the devil of doubt within. Because you're slaying the devil without of just merely conforming to the rest of the world. So are you struggling? Oh, that means you're actually lifting weights. You don't feel the stress and strain and problems while you're sitting on the couch, eating crunch taters, watching Netflix. No, man, you feel the strain and the struggle when you're out there in the weight room, or when you're running up a hill, or when you're on your bike, or when you're running to catch that flight that you're almost late for. That's when you feel the struggle. So let that struggle be an indication, a trigger of, you're heading the right way. With that, peace out, motherfuckers. All right, so if you're wanting to learn how to raise more private money, go to www.privatemoneypro.com, www.privatemoneypro.com, where I can show you how to be a private money pro. Take care and go rock it.